Hi, Alex. I'm so excited to be talking to you because I'm a big fan of yours, as you've learned, and now you have a bunch of new fans, but we'll get into that in a minute. So first, can you tell me a little bit about where you're calling from and about your current band, Little Bandit?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here since 2005. So um, very shortly after that song was recorded, I came down here to go to Belmont University for music, and very quickly dropped out, but stayed in the music scene here, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I formed my band, Little Bandit, in 2011, I think. I had been writing like I don't want to say joke songs, but just like as an exercise, writing country songs because I had been listening to. So there's a a radio station, an AM radio station down here um, that it's called 650 AM, and it only plays like classic country songs, and I was listening to that a lot. I didn't have a CD player in my car or anything, and so I was just like listening to all of those old classic country songs, and just sort of started writing as an exercise, and then realized that you know a lot of times with writing, once you find a point of view that you can fit something in, it makes it a lot easier to like narrow down the possibilities in that way. Um, and so I formed a band around that just because, my friends at the time were they're like, these are really good songs. Actually, you should do that. And that sort of became my main thing.
That's great. I know that Nashville is awesome for music, and that's such an interesting story about how you got started in your current band.
Yeah.
Um, Now, we're on this call, as you know, and as the viewers know, because about 2 decades ago, you recorded a really great song called Don't Get Over Me, which made its way across the country to me over on the Pacific Northwest onto a mixed CD in my own collection. And you and I were chatting earlier, and we haven't yet pinned down the exact path that the song took to get to me. But we
Yeah.
do know it was through MySpace because you
Yeah.
mentioned it was never released on any CDs.
The only other way, I guess, would have been, I don't know. I think that must be the only way, unless, there was somebody who I had given it to that happened to be out there, but I don't think that that's possible. So, I mean, MySpace was such a, I don't know, it's very much its own thing at the time as far as being like a connector of people, but also like, this music platform, you know?
Yeah, MySpace was huge. I know that was one of the primary ways that I found new music. So it would not surprise me at all. I mean, MySpace has been a huge focus of this of the search to find the origin of that song. You also had mentioned that you recorded it around age 18, along with some other music. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could talk about where you were living then and what kind of music projects you were interested in at the time.
Yeah. So after high school, I decided to take a year off, and I was still living at home with my parents, and my brother was living there too, and so we sort of had like the whole upstairs of this house to ourselves that had its own living area, and we set up a studio in there. And all of my friends had gone away to college, and I was sort of just working and not doing much else and not seeing many people, and so I just sort of like in, got lost in the studio for a year, which was a really I learned a lot of about the recording process and how how to do things myself, and like I mean on any of this stuff, um I I played everything. Not I mean, I'm not a drummer and I'm not a bass player, but I played those instruments uh on the song, and you know for better or for worse, that's what it is.
You recorded all the parts yourself. So,
Yeah.
do that with the other songs that were part of the same project? Was it all a solo project?
Yes. Yeah. Um, there's sort of a progression in the way that I did things, I guess, throughout that year. But I think that "Don't Get Over Me" was the only song that I actually played live drums on. I don't know if people. I don't know if anyone will be old enough to remember something called Fruity Loops, which
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
which was just, you could make beats, you could get samples, you could do your own samples and stuff. But so I used that for the most part for any other drum parts that I did at the time. Just like a kind of sequencing app that you could sync with the recording software.
But that one you're saying you played live drums on that track.
I did, yes.
Well,
Myself.
it's extremely impressive. The overall arrangement of the song. I mean, I know people love it and people specifically compliment the vocals, both your singing style and also the layering of the vocals and the harmonies. So I gotta say, I mean, you did a great job.
Thank you.
I was also going to ask, how did you get your start in songwriting and music production? Were you working on things earlier than that?
So this is, I guess, a really interesting part of it. So I grew up in a really musical family. I'm the youngest of four, and my whole all three of my siblings are also musicians. So I've got two older brothers and then an older sister, who all have done music on their own, and I was in a band with them as well. Um, which my my oldest brother started a band when he went to college in like '93 or something like that. And gradually, as everyone came of age, we joined the band. Um, so I was probably actively doing that at this time as well. Basically, by the time I, was sort of picking an instrument, my oldest brother, he was the lead vocalist in this band. He played rhythm guitar. Then my other brother played lead guitar, and then my sister played bass. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a keys player. So, but I also learned guitar at the same time, but was never like my main instrument. Music has sort of always been like a very uh, personal, like meditative, like get in the zone sort of a thing for me. So when I learned piano, so my parents are also musicians.
Uh,
um, my mom gave me a few piano lessons when I was in middle school, and sort of gave me the books. And after that, and like I kind of went out on my own and just learned everything myself from that point. And I got a keyboard with a headphone jack, and I would just sit with my headphones on and you know play all day. And that's how I learned.
that's awesome. That's such a great way to grow up. Now we know that the song is officially called Don't Get Over Me. But
Yeah,
in our search parties, for a long time, we've called it We Tie Ourselves to Lies because that's such a beautiful and unique line that I think just really struck people and it sets the song apart. So,
yeah.
speaking of lyrics, there were just a few words we couldn't quite make out. So, I was wondering if you could read the lyrics for us. And you said you've got someone's interpretation of the lyrics in front of you that you can clear up some of the questions that we had.
Yes. All right, here it is. So it's pretty much, it's pretty much all right. Open up to me, feed my lines to me. Wings fly across the light.
The light. Okay.
A car cuts through the night, and no one sees but me. Um, this is mostly right, and I'm feeling scared like I always do. And I don't. Anytime it says this, it's I don't know when. There's no where.
Okay.
Um, so it was like, I guess the idea in my 18-year-old brain was, all every time I say that, it's sort of like there's a dot dot dot. at the end of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I don't know when, um, don't get over me. I won't get over you. And I don't know when. Um, we tie ourselves to lies and hope they'll see us through, but we don't know them. We tie ourselves to grief and hope that it will be the thing we wanted. Yep, this is all right. Fog obscures the road.
Okay.
Things aren't simple for most. And our words, though sad, make us feel not so bad.
Okay, that it's beautiful to hear this. That's awesome.
um, and then driving out in my car, I don't get too far. The things we say seem enough to keep me sane, but my skin gets tough. I've been alone too long. Have I gotten weak, not strong? And that's, yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's a beautiful song.
it.
It really is. I mean, we were talking earlier about how this was a time of earnest music. You referred to it before as straightforward sad pop. Um, is there anything you wanted to elaborate on as far as the genre that you would consider the song to be and what some of your other influences were at the time?
A lot of people that were at my age at the time, I think, were, we were kind of, had a bounty of wonderful music to listen to. I mean, this was a time that was called the indie renaissance, and so it was Arcade Fire and Postal Service and Death Cab and Modest Mouse and I but my influences up to that point had been women, uh Tori Amos and Fiona Apple were always really big touchstones of mine. Patty Griffin, the Cardigans. Yeah, I mean that's what I was listening to. But I think when I was making this music, I liked the idea of something that had that sort of that what was the indie vibe at the time, but but also sort of a straightforward pop song too.
Yes. Yeah, I love that about it. So, could you talk about your other various musical interests throughout the years? So, you mentioned playing in a band with your sister that I think you had described as alternative electronic,
Yeah,
and then the traditional country that you've played. Um, so it sounds like coming from a very musical family, maybe that's where some of like this wide range of like passion for different genres came into play.
I've always loved electronic music,
Mhm.
uh, and Americana music, and so there's a part of me like when I sit down to do something or to write, there's a part of me that always wants to like put those things together, which is not necessarily you know a very intuitive match, but it's just how I am. But the sort of raw emotion mixed with electronica is like a very much a Bjork thing
Oh,
for
sure.
me. um, and that, I mean, I was heavily into the album Homogenic at the time, which was just like it's these like beautiful lush strings, but with this, these uh, heavy electronic drums, and it changed the way that I thought about music. But also at I grew up with hippie parents who had become born again Christians. But so we were listening to all of this, old folk music. So I grew up listening to Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and Jackson Brown and Tom Waits and all of that stuff. And so like I had a very uh, deep seated connection to folk music and Americana music. like I said, like Ryan Adams and Patty Griffin and you know, Wilco and all that kind of stuff. And I guess I guess at the time Wilco was kind of doing the melding of the Americana and electronic sort of sounds. So, I had that family band, but me and my sister who is the next youngest to me, were always very close and really always loved making music together, and we did a lot throughout the years. And she developed a really big interest in like dream pop and like 80s new wave and that kind of stuff. And I, that is something that I loved. And I started, in addition to piano, started learning how to play synth parts and how to write lead lines. So she had a band. Well, I guess we did, but she was the lead singer of it, called Pony Chase. I helped write the songs, and I did all the keyboards and all the synth and everything on that. Um, and as far as like other projects, I mean, nothing that was mine. I played keyboards with people that I did a couple of years of touring with an artist named Adia Victoria, who was a great artist, and she gave me a lot of opportunities to like really fulfill some dreams. I got to tour the whole country. I got to play keyboards with her, for Tiny Desk and for on Colbert, and go to Europe, and you know that was really fun. Um, and for I guess if there were tours still to come, that I would still tour with another band called Los Colones, which is another Nashville band here in town, um, who sort of like came up in the scene with me, and we've done, you know, national tours with like Blues Traveler and Big Head Todd and the Monsters. It's very like the like 90s nostalgia tours. um, so yeah, I mean that's sort of how I've made my career as a musician. Um, so yeah,
That's incredible. I mean, what an exciting career. In the song Don't Get Over Me, I mean, you can already tell like the passion and earnestness and talent that you have and the interest that you have and kind of the blending of genres. I mean, people have compared it to all kinds of different songs. It's just awesome to hear what a wide range of interests you have and that you've been able to play with all kinds of different bands and even travel and tour. Like, that's really exciting. I'm sure that your 18-year-old self would be so excited to know that.
that's such. I mean, it's a really this. I mean, I was really like waking up to the Instagram message that I woke up to yesterday was really. I don't know. I've just been on a mental journey about this because I pulled out the thumb drive that had all these songs on it and hadn't really revisited it, in 15 years probably. So many of these songs, I was in such a transitionary part of my life at that point, and also just like sort of like stalled. I felt like I was like at a stalling point before my life was going to start. You know what I mean? So like uh, all of these songs, a lot of them were about like that sort of uncertainty of what is my what is my life going to be like? What am I going to do next? I felt like all my friends were off. They went to college. They were all off doing things, and I don't. I mean, It's also funny. Someone was very astute Um, there in one, I have looked at the at some of these message boards, but like I mentioned, my parents were at this point very religious, and I was coming to terms with my sexuality. I'm gay, and and I was still at home living with them, and sort of, you know, wondering how I was going to make my life work in in this way, and how, you know, how I was going to continue to have a relationship with them. I don't think that I was even aware enough at this point to like identify my sexuality. And in a lot of ways, like, this song is sort of about my best friend, who wonderful girl named Anne, who is also happily uh queer married now. But I sort of, I convinced myself that the wonderful feelings that I had were something that were more than they were. The unrequited thing was very convenient to me at the time, you know? So, like, I could write these, like, I was having, really deep feelings, um, but I was able to, channel them in a way that was convenient to me not actually having that relationship. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, music
Um,
is a perfect outlet for expressing strong emotions that we haven't quite defined yet, or, sometimes music's the only way to
yeah.
express something.
And,
Um,
then the verses in the song are, about, like, just like driving around together, and, the connections that you make at that age when you just go out and you have your car and you drive around, you go to Denny's or whatever it is. Um, and, that is I mean, she was in my wedding party when I got married. It's not a coincidence that she was the person that I was writing about, because she's still, like, you know, my oldest and best friend in the world. So,
so that's another beautiful reason I bet why it's cool that this has come full circle, come back around to you, kind of like your 18-year-old self is coming to talk to who you are now. I mean, at
yeah,
least that's kind of how I like to think about things.
to come back to these songs with all of the answers, not that I have all the answers, but,
Yeah.
like, to be able to answer all of these questions for my younger self,
Yeah.
is really profound for me. So,
As you know, I've been searching for the song's origin since 2019 because on my end, that's when I found the mix CD in my old CD collection. I tried all the basic first things you might do to try to identify a song. I was like, okay, every song on earth is in some database. The internet will recognize it right away. Someone from Reddit will know it instantly. And it just, everywhere I looked, no one knew where this song came from. A subreddit was created for it. It was added to a few Discord channels about lostwave media enthusiasts. And people tried all kinds of incredible different ideas of how to research the song, how to find you, how to find any connection. They combed through my own old MySpace contacts. I mean, the level of research was incredible. So now that you've gone down the rabbit hole a little bit yourself, and you know the passion of this community, you've learned that you have a lot of new fans. And before I ask you the next question, I wanted to tell you just one of my favorite compliments that someone left for you under the song, under the YouTube video. Somebody wrote, "Who drops an absolutely soul ascending song and then vanishes? That's so cruel." So I know you didn't mean to, you actually didn't vanish. You were
Right.
there all along, making your name in all these musical projects. And I know you didn't mean to be cruel, but this is the way people felt about the song, that it was soul ascending. I mean, people really connected to the earnestness of it. How does it feel to find out that you're a Lost Wave celebrity and just how excited everyone is to hear from you?
I mean, it's very surreal.
Yeah.
You know, this thing that I haven't really thought about in years is something that, that people have like there's this corner of the world where people are searching for me. It's really cool.
Yeah, I bet.
Um, and as someone who has made music their life, to find out, that, unbeknownst to you, that it's meant something to people. I mean, it's it's incredible.
Yeah, it's been amazing for me to watch as well, just as the first person who found the song in my collection but felt passionate enough that I was like, I need to know who wrote this. And the mystery of it made it all the more intriguing to me. That it's very it was very uplifting to learn that there are people dedicated to connecting the dots and solving these mysteries where we've all learned at this point that things posted to the internet are not as secure and like stored safely forever as we thought that they were.
These days it seems like, the internet is forever, and like you're gonna, the things are gonna be found no matter what you do. But
Yeah.
at that point, you know, there wasn't really there weren't any rules.
I'm glad that there are enthusiasts out there who understand all the ways that data can be tracked down, also the social connections that we can try. I mean, we've had people in this Lost Wave community um, who just had so many social connections that so much of this research was just people asking other people, and we're like, eventually someone is going to know something. And for anyone watching this who doesn't know, the way that that you were officially located was it was pretty much right under our noses all along, which is pretty funny considering how long the search has been going on. But it just took a wide range for someone to think of this particular like um, method of how they wanted to investigate and then act on it and then like get a follow-up with you. So what happened was a member of the Discord server uh, had been searching on MySpace for different snippets of the song lyrics, and instead of glossing over corrupted or lost media files on MySpace, they looked at the song length of the empty tracks that aligned with the actual title, which we now know is "Don't Get Over Me."
Yeah.
So they thought, the time stamp matches up, the title matches, let's get a hold of this guy, and the rest is history. So that was the solve in this particular case. But the level of investigation, I mean, these people are incredible detectives. I've had an amazing time learning about this stuff as I've been going along as well.
I mean, the finding out about the Lost Wave community has been really cool. I mean, it's a really cool hobby, but it also must be like such a rewarding one too. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
Um, and aside from it having anything to do with me, I think just like it's been fascinating to like get a glimpse into this world that I had no idea existed.
Yeah, I also didn't know it existed. Like, I didn't know who was going to help me find this song or if it was possible. When I first embarked on this search. I was just moved by the song, and other people are too, and people really dedicate a lot of effort into solving these mysteries. And sometimes it's just the mystery itself that gets people excited about a certain piece of media. But in this case, people also really, really love the song. Like a lot of people were saying, like, this is my favorite Lost Wave song. This is the next big Lost Wave song. Like people can't wait for it to be solved. It's a big day of celebration over on the Discord channel today.
It's wild.
Um, so that being said, now that you know you have all these new fans and that, they want to go in a time machine and listen to your old music, we're wondering if this song will get an official release from you and where people can find the rest of the album.
So, I mean, if the interest is there, I think that there's no reason why it shouldn't. I feel like it means something to people, and I want to be intentional about how how that happens. I think that there's about 15 songs that were recorded in that year that have a similar vibe and a similar emotion. If there's enough interest for it, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't release it.
That's so exciting, and I'm obviously you do it in the way that's best for you. We can be patient. I know it seems like we can't, but we can.
I mean,
Um,
I mean,
we're just
it's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, yeah. We're just so happy to have found you. It's very, I mean, it's incredible in an age where so much stuff simply does just get lost. We so appreciate your generosity and all the information you've been willing to share and the enthusiasm that you had in receiving, the message from our community. I know people are going to love this. And I was wondering if there are any projects you want to point people to aside from when this gets released or any other messages you want to share.
You're welcome to look up Little Bandit. That's
Oh,
my yeah. I have an album on Spotify. Look up Pony Chase. I just want to thank the community
yeah.
for being really into this. There's a part of me that wants to feel embarrassed because it's not every day that someone's like 18-year-old journal gets shown back to them in this way after not thinking about it, but it also like sort of has made me give more grace to that kid to know that it's resonated.
Yeah,
So
I mean, insofar as it's similar to a journal, I can tell you people have handled this with care. People love the song and um, have like a special passion toward this particular piece of Lost Wave. So,
yeah,
um, it clicks. It clicks with us. Um, we really care a lot about the song. So I
thank you.
know, I mean, I've checked out Little Bandit and Pony Chase, really awesome stuff. So I hope everyone will go and take a look at those as well. And I'm so happy we've connected. I mean, this is awesome. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for your time.
obscures the road. Things aren't simple for most, and our words, though sad, make us feel